That was Gil Gross here on the Stack of Stats podcast. Pamela Maldonado here with now Drew Dinsick, whale_capper on Twitter, handicapper for NBC Sports Bet, host of the Deep Dive podcast. Drew, thanks for joining me to preview what should be two incredible matches, the Wimbledon semifinals. How have you enjoyed Wimbledon so far?
It's been good. I mean, kind of gone the way we thought for the most part. I was a little disappointed that Rublev didn't make it to the quarterfinal to get his ass handed to him by Djokovic. Excuse my language. But other than that, it has been a very successful overall tournament. The fact that Djokovic now has three relatively unproven players in his way of another slam, third of the calendar year, is pretty big deal. and he looks pretty good.
There was also one thing that you said at the beginning of the match that made entirely good sense, that if your draw is going to get easier, then you want to go ahead and take him on the futures market as opposed to doing like that money line or rollover. And that ended up being kind of more true than ever. If you were to do a money line, parlay, rollover, whatever on a Novak Djokovic, up to this point, a $100 bet would have netted you $16.
Wow, it's that low? I didn't realize it had been that off. Oh my goodness.
Because he has been absolutely just like a minus 2,000, minus 3,000, minus 5,000 favorite to every single person that he has played against. And it has shown. Djokovic has only dropped one set, and it was in the opening round. Yeah. So, I mean, it entirely makes all the sense in the world. If your draw gets easier, take a futures. If it's kind of a difficult path, then maybe do that money line parlay. Looking first, though, at these two matches, I'm really excited about these matches. I'm so excited about these matches. I'm pretty excited. Hubert Hurkacz, he wasn't somebody that I don't think either of us predicted would have been doing well. But yet here he is, and he is against Italy's Matteo Berrettini. Hurkacz, he definitely has been a surprise player. The current odds do have Berrettini as a minus 210 favorite. Hurkacz plus 180 underdog. Total games over under 41 and the game spread of 3.5. These two, they are 1-1 in head-to-head. Berrettini won in 2018 Australian Open, and then Hurkacz won in the 2019 Miami Open. What are your thoughts going into this match on Hurkacz surprising us all and being the player to contend here in the semifinals?
I haven't thought about Hurkacz since Miami. I kind of forgot he was really even part of the tour still, because he basically took clay off. I mean, he went to those tournaments, but he lost in round one of the Madrid to Millman. He lost in round one of Rome to Musetti. He lost in round two of Monte Carlo to Dan Evans. And then he went to Roland Garros. He lost in round one to a player whose name I had never heard before, Roland Garros, and Botic van de Zanderschlup. And then he followed that up with two very unimpressive grass performances, losing in Stuttgart to a wild card and losing in Halle to Felix Auger-Aliassime. So it has been an absolute who's who of losing matches for Hubie since his Miami title. But if you kind of dig into his 2021 form outside of this spring, it's been impressive. His Miami run was not fluky. He beat some very good players in that run. And, he took out both Tsitsipas and Rublev back to back. He took out Shapovalov. His overall run at Miami for that first ever Masters title was important. I guess maybe he just sort of kind of mailed it in a little bit after that, kind of soaking in the career achievement, and wasn't really dialed in for clay season. Or maybe he's just that bad of a clay player relative to what he can do in his serve. His timing is excellent. But whatever the case is, beating Medvedev was impressive. Beating Federer, of course, was unreal. And the way he did it was unbelievably impressive. Federer obviously not 100%, but it doesn't matter. He's still still a force that is tough to defeat. So I don't think you can really dismiss him in this match. I don't think you can write him off against Matteo Berrettini here. Both of these guys in a slam semifinal for their first time. Nerves probably going to be high. Both of their serves are firing. The court speed is getting faster.
They both have titles under the belt. They have the experience.
Great point.
If you look at both of the players, though, they both Berrettini and Hurkacz, they've had kind of easy routes to this point. Berrettini, he has beaten, no, well, if you look at Hurkacz, he beat Lorenzo Musetti, who has zero grass court experience prior to this match. He beat the American Marcos Giron, no strong suit in his game whatsoever. He beat Alexander Bublik. That was an easy win in straight sets. He, of course, shocked Daniil Medvedev. But what really helped him in that match specifically was that that match was played across 2 days. Medvedev was
Great
up 2-1.
point.
He was up 2-1 and he was on serve in 3-4 in the fourth set. And he just came out looking, I don't know if you saw that match, but he just came out looking like he overslept, he underslept, he skipped breakfast. He just did not look at the same performance that he had the day before. And then, of course, he destroys Federer in straight sets, becoming the first player to ever bagel Federer in London.
Can't believe it.
What Berrettini, he also has had a bit of an easy route. He's only dropped 2 sets himself. We're talking about Novak dropping only 1. He's only dropped 2. Berrettini had in his opening match against Guido Pella and then another to Felix Aliassime. Those are in the quarterfinal. Those are the only 2 sets that he has dropped. But what did we think that he was going to do? Face John Isner. He didn't because Isner ended up leaving out. We thought that he was going to end up facing Alexander Zverev. He didn't because he ended up going out early. So he himself, Berrettini, has had a pretty comfortable route here. So I think now this is the first challenge for both players because let's be real, like Federer wasn't that much of a challenge. Federer played fantastic in the couple matches before. He kind of looked sloppy and all over the place against Monterino, cleaned it up a little bit, and then we kind of saw how he was playing against Monterino come back into form here against this match. Hurkacz, fantastic. I think his game complements grass court, and we're seeing it. So I'm not surprised at all that he defeated Federer. I'm just saying that he's had a little bit. This is a test. Berrettini should be a step above Federer compared to where he's at in his game right now.
I would agree, 100%.
And then,
yep, and yeah, that I forgot about the fact that Hurkacz when he beat Medvedev, Medvedev looked like he got out of bed on the wrong side of the bed. He was not the same player in day 2.
Mm-hmm. And he said himself, I just played bad. Like people want to talk about a lot of there's people saying rumors flying around. Oh, he got injured. He just played bad. He himself just said, I played bad. What do you want me to do? I had a bad day, and that happens. But what I really do like about Hurkacz, he slices, he drops shots, he has really great pin placement on his serves. He does have a tendency to mix it up by including some of that offensive net play. And that net play has really what's been helping his game, which lends itself to a lot of Wimbledon, what Wimbledon used to be. Hurkacz is playing old school grass court tennis. I'm loving watching him.
I completely agree. And it's going to be a very competitive match. Anytime you have 2 players who, really are at this level for the first time in their careers, it tends to produce pretty dramatic tennis. So I'm pretty excited for this one. I approach this match from a betting standpoint, thinking that the early going is going to be somewhat tempered, somewhat of we got to feel each other out, figure out what your strategy is. I'm just going to rely on my heavy serve to get me through early on here. There is not a lot to go on in terms of head-to-head between these 2 players. Hurkacz beat Berrettini in Miami back in 2019 when they were very different players. At the time, Hurkacz was 52 in the world. Berrettini was 54. So not exactly the same player in terms of quality at that time. His other head-to-head win, Berrettini's only head-to-head win against Hurkacz came in Aussie Open qualifying in 2018 when both players were kind of in the 100 to 200 range ranking worldwide. So I think it is going to be a somewhat of tentative opening here. I doubt you see either player really kind of expressing aggressiveness and trying to really kind of go for an early kill shot or really kind of using any of their best stuff until we get to that first set tiebreak, which is why I think over 12 and a half games in the first set at almost 2-1. I got it at plus 185. I think that's a really fun play. I don't know that I can say that Berrettini gets through cleanly here. Hurkacz probably takes a set or 2, and it could come from tiebreak. But we've seen Hurkacz with a tiebreak in a number of his matches to this point at Wimbledon. And then if you go back to Queens, at least the Queens run for Berrettini, of course, another his grass title of the season. There were a lot of tie breaks there as well. And so with this court speeding up, with the tentativeness potentially early, I can make a pretty strong case that the likelihood of a first set tie break should be closer to 60, or should be in like the closer to 50-50 here, as opposed to getting almost 2-1. So that's the fun way I attack this first set. You got any thoughts?
I will say that Hurkacz, he has had 3 tie breaks in this tournament. One was against Musetti, the other against Medvedev, and then the third against Federer. But Berrettini has only had 2. Berrettini has actually played 0 tie breaks. Oh, he played 1. He played 1 against Van Dish, that guy.
BVDZ.
BBDZ against the guy that we cannot pronounce, against him. But everyone else, I was expecting him to have some tie breaks against Felix, and didn't.
Yeah.
That one was a little
Yep.
surprising to me. I thought that there might be one against Ivashka. They didn't. So what is happening with Berrettini is he is absolutely untouchable with his serving. He is unreturnable serving mixed in with his heavy forehand. He's holding steady with his serves. And then I'm surprised that he's actually doing pretty well in that return game. I think you're going bold with the 12.5. I think you can get the line at over 10. At over 10, it can be 7. Yeah, it can be 7-5. I could very well see this be like a 7-5 as opposed to a tie break right off the bat. So the line for the first set is over 10. I would be more safe going with that as opposed to a 12.5 automatic tie break. Absolutely could happen, but I like your plus money option. As long as you're getting plus money, I don't mind that at all.
Yeah, no, if you want to be a little bit less aggressive, that's
conservative, a little bit more conservative.
A little more conservative. That makes total sense to me. I guess the interesting part about this market overall, I thought at least, was you saw Berrettini open up about minus 220, 225. It got bet up initially into the 250, 270 range at some of the market making books. And then since then, it has been a steady inflow of Hurkacz money. Some of that has come in mostly the timing wise. If you look at when kind of the momentum flipped in the market, it was when the order of play came out. And Berrettini Hurkacz is earlier in the day, so it'll be a little warmer. It'll be the ball will probably have a little more pop. And I think that does take away what Berrettini does a little bit better in terms of his return game, which also I think helps the potential for an over, especially early.
I honestly don't know who wins. There comes a point in the tournament, and I've said this before, there comes a point in the tournament, especially in a major, where I stop betting because I want to enjoy it as a fan. I truly love tennis, like through my bones and my skin, and I feel it. I'm passionate about this game so much that I don't want it tainted by the idea of money. Oh, I'm betting Hurkacz, and then he loses in straight sets to Berrettini. I'm so happy for Berrettini because I love him as a player and I want to see his progression, but I want to be able to root for both of these players. I want to root for a great match.
That makes total sense to me. And I think actually, if you're like us and you're holding a Djokovic future, we're rooting for a long match. We like this one. Let's really fight it out.
Let's
guys.
go the full 5 sets, yes. five set tie breaks.
Exactly.
And let's just draw it out. And so that way you come in just like dead
12
tired.
in the 5th. Let's go. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know who wins in this match. I definitely agree with the money coming in on Hurkacz. I think he definitely gets a set, but the plus on plus 2.5 sets is minus 285. So the books themselves know that it's going to happen. If I wouldn't be surprised if Hurkacz won in straight sets, I wouldn't be surprised if Berrettini won in straight sets.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I mean, it's going to come down to who can hit the clutch points in the tiebreakers. This is really kind of the way I see it. Because not just to harp on the first set tiebreak here, I could see multiple tie breaks in this set. I just don't think service breaks are going to be easy to come by at all for either of these players in this match.
So then would you consider the over 41 in the match?
You need 4 sets for that. And it looks like the odds of 4 sets happening are pretty high. That's not crazy. That's a pretty decent look, actually. Yeah, I'm gonna think hard about that. The
I think if
basically
Berrettini
you basically
won,
need one. You need at least one tie break in 4 sets to get that 41. I think that's happening.
I think if Berrettini were to win, it would be in 4 sets because his serve is just untouchable and Hurkacz is having difficulty returning it. I think if Hurkacz ended up winning, it would go a full 5 sets.
That's not crazy at all. Actually, there's correlation there for sure with the with the longer this. Yeah, because Hurkacz winning clean. I know you just were saying, yeah, I could see it. I could see it, but he would really have to have just a
No.
supremely outstanding performance. And I guess if we kind of go back to the way he came through his last time that he really blew us away in terms of his performance level, which was Miami Masters this year. He had a back and forth with Milos Raonic,
Right.
4-6, 6-3. Third set decider went to tiebreak. He
Yeah.
had a very tight match against Shapovalov. Second set went to tiebreak. Tight match against Denis Kudla. First set went to tiebreak. Tsitsipas went back and forth. He lost 2-6, 6-3, 6-4. And the title match against Jannik Sinner had a tiebreak 6-4. So it was those were lengthy, and
Right.
that was a slower court.
And Berrettini, he has lost to good servers in Opelka, in Fritz, in Bublik. And I'm not saying that
Good
Hurkacz is
point.
necessarily throwing out, 20 aces in a match. But if he is aiming for the tee, he hits the tee. His placement on his serves have been spectacular. And I think that's one of the things that's why he's getting to tie breaks, because he's able to hold not with not with the power of a serve that Berrettini has, but with the precision.
That makes total sense to me. Yeah, I
Yep.
think. Would you play a live? I mean, I know you want to sit back and enjoy it, but if
Mhm.
you saw, I guess if you saw Berrettini come away with, let's say he loses the first set tiebreak, and the market kind of flips on him, and he's a dog live after one set. Would you consider getting involved at that point on Berrettini, or do you think? Because I mean, this is probably should be closer to a coin flip, but I don't have the stomach to back the dog.
So here's the reason why I do like Hurkacz to come out of this is because what we saw him do in the Federer match is he was able to exploit Federer's backhand.
Okay,
He came in with the strategy of I don't want to touch his forehand. This is his power point. I'm going to instead attack the backhand. I think he does the same thing with Berrettini. We haven't seen anybody really exploit Berrettini's backhand because nobody has the ability to. I think
good
Hurkacz
point.
has the ability to. So if you want to pin me, if Berrettini is down, I would say for him to win the next set.
Okay.
People don't look at the general term of who's going to win the match. Go set by set. If Hurkacz wins the first one, I think Berrettini is going to come right back and win the second one.
Okay. That
I
makes
think
sense. Yeah, good strategy. Ultimately, I guess if I'm engaged early in this one, I may trade a little bit live, try to play that game because I see what you're saying, and that's a good point about attacking the backhand. I hadn't really thought about how he would try to do it, but that is exactly how he would do it.
and he can do it with a slice, and he can. Players always think, "Let me go left to right." Hurkacz has been really good with the ability of moving players forward to back, and that's how you're going to wear players down, and that's how you're going to confuse them, and that's how you're going to keep them guessing. And that's why I think I really like Hurkacz in this match. So I'm not sure if I'm going to end up putting the money line. Like I said, I want to enjoy it. So I'm saying it right now. I'm probably not going to bet anything. Call me a bore. Call me a snooze. I think your best bet is a good one, and that is the over in the first set.
Okay, cool. Do you know if last note question on this? I don't want to make this too much longer, but do you know if Berrettini has played on center court yet, or was he on court one for some of his premier matches? Because Hurkacz is definitely familiar with center court. He
The
had,
atmosphere.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, my thought exactly. Like
He
I'm
has
not.
not. He has
Berrettini is
been on
not right. Okay.
court 3, court 12, court 1.
Okay. So this is
That
Berrettini's
matters.
first time on center court. Yeah, that'll be
Hmm.
interesting to see how he
And
how he
in his
reacts.
matchup against Felix, he didn't really have a crowd because everybody was watching Federer.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's a great point. And
And now Hurkacz has gone through what a Federer match feels like.
yeah. Yeah.
So that's something to think about. So then the other
Yeah.
match, you have Canada's Denis Shapovalov plus 730 underdog to world number one Novak Djokovic, a minus 1100 favorite. Novak is 6-0 in head-to-head versus Shapovalov. Shapovalov, his serve, has been very good at this tournament on this surface. We're going to see if the greatest returner in the world can bring more balls back into play against this lefty. Shapovalov, in this tournament here at Wimbledon, he has 60 aces in 4 matches because his fifth match was a walkover. Otherwise, he would have more. Shapovalov has a 78% win first serve percentage. He is serving exceptionally well, and it's definitely getting him out of trouble, as we saw against Kashanov.
Yes, that was the deciding factor in the match, I thought.
Mhm.
I was actually it's been a while since we've seen sort of a gutsy performance from Shapo. He's
Yeah.
tended to kind of melt in the big moments of big matches
Yes.
over the last couple of years, and to see him kind of keep his head about him, I thought was a huge positive sign, at least for him kind of continuing to on his progression. He is currently 12th in the world right now. I believe his peak rank was 10 last spring, so he still has a little way to go to really be considered among the elite on tour. But this would be a big one if he can compete and go toe to toe with Djokovic. Do you know when, just off the top of your head, do you know when Shapovalov turned pro? How
I don't.
many? Because it hasn't been
20,
that long. Like, he hasn't had many years
2017,
on
wasn't it?
tour. Yeah, I think it was probably 17, maybe he was 18. But it hasn't been many years. But he somehow has already
2016.
2016. Okay. He somehow has already played Djokovic 6
6
times. I
times.
don't know how that's possible. Like, none of these
Mhm.
other, because and none of them were even cheap ones. You know how, like, in the
Yeah.
ATP finals, you can play a guy twice, and that's
Mhm.
you can kind of rack up a couple of head to heads with some of the top players. Well, none of them were even in that context, and so
Right.
it was the most common player he has played as a professional. Novak
Yeah.
Djokovic. This is
Novak
his,
Djokovic.
and it hasn't gone well for him. It's worth noting. He is 0-6 lifetime against Djokovic. But I will kind of point out 2 things that I kind of draw from this head to head between these 2 players.
Okay.
Going back to the 2019 Australian Open, Djokovic was untouchable in
Correct.
that tournament.
God
Untouchable.
Novak.
He only lost 2 sets. He only lost like 5 games to Rafa in the final. I mean, like,
Mhm.
it was all working. It was just dynamite stuff from him.
Right.
One of the players that took a set off of him was Denis Shapovalov.
Shapovalov.
So
You're right.
that's an interesting kind of note. Similarly, Djokovic heading
Mhm.
into the 2020 Australian Open was outstanding form. At the ATP Cup, Shapovalov took a set off of him in a best of 3. A lot of the other results, Rome clay, not great. Shanghai
Right.
hardcourt, not great. Paris Masters, not great. But for whatever it's worth, in the ATP Cups on the hard courts down in Australia, and at the Australian Open, he, on the fastest surfaces they have played, he has held his own and at least put up a fight. And
Right.
that doesn't mean go back him on the money line. He's gonna lose. But
Yeah.
I don't hate the idea of him stealing a set somehow, particularly
Okay.
considering how good his serve looks.
Nope,
I've been
agreed.
watching the plus 2.5 sets market here. It opened at plus 108. It ballooned out to plus 137 before action has come in and brought it back down to about plus 118. I caught it at about plus 125. And I would make it closer to evens, that he gets one out of these out of the first 3 sets.
I will
And
agree. The only thing that I have on here is plus 2.5 sets at plus
okay,
110.
okay,
That's what
cool,
the
cool,
line
cool,
is right now. And the
cool.
reason is because in the past, we have seen Djokovic struggle against big servers. The last
Sure.
player that he lost to at Wimbledon was Sam Querrey. And no, I don't think that Djokovic is going to lose. However, I think that Shapovalov's serve has been too on. My one thing why I don't think he's going to get further than one set is because it's going to be all about the shot selection that he employs in the pressure points. When it comes to 4-5, 4-all, when it comes to 5-all, like what is going to happen? What Chapo tends to do, he has a great penetrating game, but he also has a tendency to press. And when he needs to play with a little bit more margin of error, he instead just like goes all in. And then we see him end up with a Kashanov move where he probably should have won that in 4 sets. And it ended up just like back and forth because both of these players were just pressing at the wrong time. And well, you're making the errors instead of waiting the errors to come to you. Who waits for errors better than anyone? Djokovic.
Yes, that's true. Absolutely true. Yeah. and I think this is not okay. There's been a lot of good, strong, actionable plays throughout this Wimbledon. Nothing we're talking about here really qualifies, in my opinion, as like a really strong look. But I, if you are going to bet this match, and I already did, I'm going to take Chapo to get 1 set. I think Djokovic 3-1 isn't a bad price either. That correct score right now is about plus 250. You can actually find it plus 290 if you shop around. Yeah, so Djokovic winning, he could win in straights. I could see it. The market, absolutely. Obviously that's probably the most likely outcome. But I do think that there is about a 50-50 shot here for Chapo to get on the board, based on the way he's played him in the past, the experience, and like, as you mentioned, his serve just being absolutely outstanding timing wise. 2 last questions for you. One, did you think Djokovic looked vulnerable at all against Fucsovics, and Fucsovics just didn't take advantage of the opportunities that were in that match?
I'm actually surprised that Fucsovics did not take a set off. I was really expecting him to.
Kind of too.
I was really expecting him to. I think Fucsovics maybe got into his head. I think he kind of just like everything that he was doing in his previous matches to get him there, he did not do against Djokovic. Instead, he was kind of. So I think that I was a little bit underwhelmed. And if you did lose, so here's what I'm also thinking, that Shapovalov, if he were to get the set, it could be in the first set. Djokovic, he lost to Draper, who is another big server. And I won't say big server, but he was a really great serve coming into this tournament. And he lost the first set. Djokovic lost the first set to Draper in that opening round. So I think if it does Shapovalov happen, it's going to be early on, when it's just power, 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 everything is clicking, everything is on, and then we see him fade away. Because it's really hard to sustain that level of play, that level of serve for longer than against Novak, who's going to make the adjustments in match.
I agree. All right, second question for you. The fact that Shapovalov played Andy Murray on center court and beat him, does that mean anything?
That's a good thing.
Give him a little confidence.
Give him confidence, because I actually thought about that pre-tournament. That was one of the first things that I thought of. You're going to face Andy Murray, the hometown favorite. How are you going to handle the pressure of that crowd? Turns out he handled it pretty damn well. He turned it pretty damn well. He's somebody who's going to thrive on the crowd. And who are the fans going to want? They actually are going to want Shapovalov, because they want this to go 5 sets to get their money's worth. They're always going to root for the underdog against somebody like a Djokovic.
Yeah, we agree. Last little quick question. I saw a weird report. Djokovic had been requesting the early time slots on center court, and they had been giving them to him. And this time he had requested it, and they put him in the later slot. Do you know why he would ask for the early slot, and do you think that matters?
I would say the ball speed. Yeah, that would definitely matter with the temperatures. I would say that if it's losing, the ball is probably, if the earlier time slot. What's the earlier time slot? I don't even know what the hours are.
Let's see. Order of play for tomorrow. Berrettini goes off at 1:30 p.m. And then that again, of course, that'll be a 5-setter, probably take about 5 hours. So Djokovic probably goes off about 6 p.m. or thereabouts. 6 p.m. I'm being sarcastic. It could be 4:30, potentially as late as 6.
Or like the earlier time slot would be around 1 or 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah,
he wants that ball zip. He wants the heat. He wants it to play faster. He wants it to play fast.
Interesting. His serve has been good. I mean, his serve has been pretty strong.
Outside of that opening match, he had
Yeah.
25 aces in that opening match against I'm looking at Berrettini. Against who did he play against? Against Draper. He had
Yeah.
but it was against Draper, so he's a much lesser opponent. He had 25 aces, but since then he's only had 9 was his best. So I thought
Okay.
that he would be having more. But his precision, his first serve win, of course, it's good.
Good point. He only had 4 against Fuchs. He
only had 4 against
9.
Fuchsovics.
Yeah, 9 against Garin.
What he struggled with was, well, interesting about Fuchsovics and Djokovic is they have had those are the 2 best players. Their return percentage was somewhere around win return percentage was around 45-ish percent, whereas the tournament average was 30. It was like
wow.
30-ish.
Wow.
So you're talking
Okay.
about the best returner in Novak facing against another great returner in Fuchsovics, and they were playing each other. So I think his focus maybe has been less on the serve and maybe more on just a return game.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. It'll be an interesting match. I'm excited to tune in. I have a lot of high hopes that Shapovalov, as he continues to kind of grow into his game, becomes a real threat to win some titles on tour. I think, he's got a long way to go still, but signs are looking up.
So then your best bet for Berrettini versus Hurkacz?
I like that first set over.
First set over. What number are you going with?
I play it to as high as 12 and a half. Obviously, that's as high as you can play it. So I wouldn't go any higher than that.
So the numbers you can find are 10 or 12 and a half.
Yeah, I like 10 perfectly fine with 10. I would, if you're going, it looks like 9.5 is minus 233. Ooh.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's not bettable. 10.5, I'm seeing plus 128 at 10.5. I think you might as well just go to 12.5 because I think
more value.
Yeah, you're getting almost 2 to 1 there. Yeah, you're getting almost 2 to 1 depending on where you shop around there. Yeah, I mean, you can actually, there are a couple places I see that have plus 225-ish. So maybe a little bit of a good number there.
Drew likes over 12.5 in the first set at plus whatever money that plus is offering you.
Plus 200, we'll call it.
Nice. And then for Djokovic and Shapovalov, we're both in agreement that yes, I like plus 2.5 sets at plus money. But, I think it's a little bit higher than a 50% possibility here.
Okay.
I think it could happen. I really think it could happen in the first set. So there is an exact bet of 3-1. I don't like stuff like that. I'm going to be more conservative. Plus 2.5 sets at just plus 110 is what I have offered available.
I like 3-1 too. I think, especially if you can find it at around plus 290. I see it at a couple of shops plus 290 for that. That's a favorable price.
And then how about for the women's? I think this is going to be a fantastic final between Pliskova and Barty.
I know there's no obvious handicapping angle that I can point to here that suggests who is going to win. So I'm probably just going to take the dog. Pliskova's serve today was dynamic. It was dynamite. I don't like going against Barty. Her game is so absolutely perfect for grass, and it's obviously on right now. Sure, she's over whatever injury issues she was dealing with towards the end of the clay cycle. So it doesn't feel great to go against Barty. But if you're going to give me plus 200 on the woman who is serving more dangerously, I will have to take that.
I really like Bart. I love Barty as a player. I have no idea who wins. I'm less familiar with WTA, but her backhand slice is such a joy to watch. It is such a joy to watch.
That is a killer shot.
It is a side spin, backspin. It just hails away from the player, and it's so nice to see. So I think it's going to be a tale of the server versus who's going to control the game with that backhand slice. With that slice.
That's a good way to handicap it.
Enjoy the match. Just enjoy the matches. You don't have to put money on everything. You can just sit back and enjoy it.
I probably will do that. Yeah, I probably will do that. I will also say Barty's been more than comfortable letting matches go 3 sets. And it's a fun way to root for tennis, women's tennis especially, over 2.5 sets. Just root for 3 sets. Then you're rooting for more entertainment, and you're getting it at plus money almost always.
Oh, is it plus money here?
Plus 150 to go over 2.5 sets. So
I like that one. All right,
fun way to play that.
So then do make sure to follow Drew Dinsick on Twitter at whale_capper. And you can check him out on NBC Sports Bet. And you can also check him out on the Deep Dive podcast. Those are the bets that we like. I think I'm going to maybe just sit back and ride my futures that we have with Djokovic, and then see what transpires from there. But you can just sit back, enjoy, watch the matches. I think it's going to be a couple great days, few days last of tennis. And then we got football. So I'm really looking forward to that. But then that does it for another episode of Back of Stats.